Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and I'm joined by Mike Jones. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Dale, what the heck am I doing in here on a Saturday evening?
Well, all the cool kids are doing this. They're
Yes,
they're
yes, I
on
can
this
see that.
they're
Yes.
on this site about politics. Is there anywhere else you can go to get the news, get videos played
Oh,
back?
oh, yes. There was a brief respite there before the shameless, plugging entered the fray.
This is
Yes. Oh,
non-commercial.
yes. You are so right.
No,
You are
this is
so right. Yes,
non-commercial.
that's
These
right. Because
pats
it's
on the back,
non-commercial.
that's the only
Yes.
reward I get is people saying, "Good job, Dale," and people on the other side to say, "You terrible, awful person." Boy, that's just one of those hidden benefits. Woo! I'm happy to hear it.
Yes.
It's all that they can do. Well, that sign to Parkway and M, why, that was an attractive nuisance. I just had to steal it.
Yes.
You,
I'll
you
tell
just
you.
don't see that kind of stuff happening from the anti-levy people. They just don't do it. There are people within that part of the movement that are not always on the up and up. There is in every part of the world, right? But
Sure.
but you don't see stuff like standing up in a church. Oh, it's legal. Yeah, that's not really the point. Is
Yeah.
that really what should be happening? And we'll talk a little bit about this. As a matter of fact, why don't we just jump straight into Cheryl
Yeah, we
Walker
can.
breaking the law?
Yeah, we can. This last weekly business session is the gift that just keeps on giving. There was so much stuff that came out of that, and here's the latest little tidbit. Well, you'll see.
A comment was just made by Ms. Kirkpatrick Pilger that says if you keep doing what you're doing, you get the same result. Well, if you keep voting down the levies, we keep getting the same results. We are not going to be in any better shape next year because the money we're getting from the secure rule schools is less than we had last year. It takes $4.5 million just to run the jail at the current level. If you don't like the current level, it's going to be worse next year because it's less money. So if you keep voting down the support, and even the founding fathers, including George Washington, said it's up to the public to pay to support the society that we have established. So, yeah, that's a very true thing. If you keep doing the same thing, you get the same result. And I think that there was an awful lot of comments here about something that was taken off the agenda, so I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay.
So it was a little hard to read that at the bottom. And what it said is, according to Oregon election law, this is illegal. You could read that part. Posted on the front door, advocating for a measure has been prohibited since April 20. It's against the law. It's called electioneering.
On the front door of the Ann Basker, by the way.
That's correct.
Yes. Ann Basker Auditorium, where all these meetings take place.
That's what she was doing, and that's against the law, and she knows it. She did it last year to promote that levy. And You're not allowed to do that. And if we did that, what would happen to us, Mike? What do you think would happen?
Oh, there'd be a sledgehammer dropped on our heads, essentially. Keith Heck would say, "Oh, that's it. You're done, and you're banned from the Ann Basker Auditorium."
Now, here is Keith Heck's reaction to what she was saying.
Yes, right. Exactly.
Isn't that great?
I thought it was funny. At about 20 seconds into that video, Cheryl does one of these things where she takes an eyeball over at the camera, and I think she just wanted to be on the show. She knew that her comments basically in that weekly business session were going to make the program, and she was right. Hey, this week starring Cheryl Walker.
It's easy for her to get on our show. All she has to do is open up her mouth and say almost anything. And it's almost like Dave Toller was. Dave Toller at the end, really, he couldn't go a single day, this former commissioner, without saying something that was just like, what in the world does he do? That's such an outrageous lie. I mean, he said, I never did anything when he did. Remember? Well, of of course you remember because I keep bringing it up. When I went to a meeting and I was trying to let everybody know what Simon Hare had said, that he had lied, and I had proof that he lied, and I brought the proof with me, and he cut the power rather than let you hear that.
Right.
Dave Toller.
Wow.
So, wow. Who was it? Here's a little bit of trivia for those. There's plenty of people that know this. Who was it that Simon Hare ran against and won and beat the first time that he ran? Dave Toller. Yes, Dave Toller. We replaced this liar, Dave Toller. He really was a liar. I mean, toward the end, it was just worse and worse and worse. It was horrible. And the thing is, the Tolleristas that were backing this guy up, they didn't want to believe in him. I said, wait a minute, I've got it on tape. Wow, so?
Yes, it doesn't matter. Evidence? You have evidence? We don't need no stinking evidence.
And as Cheryl Walker said about Simon Hare, well, you weren't there in the bar? No, I wasn't there. So that's hearsay. No, it's not. It's based on the police report. It's the police that said that he was a liar.
I think when people get into arguments, political arguments especially, you should keep in your mind the tally of how many people have been turned by your argument and said, oh, you know what? You're right about that. And let me see here. I'm trying to think. No, it's not happened. So don't worry. It's still go forth with your argument and don't worry about convincing people like Cheryl that you're right.
Do you think she really believes that she's right in her heart of hearts? She really
believes of course.
That. You think that she doesn't realize when she's breaking the law or lying? You think she doesn't know?
Yeah. Listen, I think she knows about that, but I think she also doesn't care.
Well, Keith Eck said it. Keith Eck did say that 3 times. I know we're breaking the law, and I don't care.
Yes, but the thing is that in the mind of someone like this, the ends justify the means. So it doesn't matter. They're just going to do what they're going to do, and that's that.
Well, what happened to this definition of integrity, which says you do the right thing even when nobody can see what you're doing?
Yes, you're talking about moral people.
Well, I don't think all government is like that. I just don't believe that. I just don't believe that all government is inherently evil. I don't think so.
No, listen, I don't think so either. I'm sure that there are good people that work even in our county government. There are some good people in there.
Yes, however, we had him on the show.
Yes, but here's the problem. The problem is that everybody, when offered, hey, would you like a raise? They go, well, sure, I'd like a raise. Bring it on. Well, and that's all that happens inside a government is they're constantly ratcheting up. Let's take this a little higher. Let's get a little bit more benefits. Let's get a little bit more pay. Let's get a few more people working under me, and that will also merit a pay raise for me. And then everybody watches how they do that. And of course, the higher up the ladder you get, the more privileges you get in climbing that ladder. And then before you know it, you're Rosemary Paget, and you're retiring at 130%.
The reason I don't get 130% now, and I got next to nothing. Okay, really, it's like 2 nickels. The reason I don't get all that is because I was working with the government for Uncle Sam and getting news out to people in Africa and stuff like that. And they came to me and they wanted me to falsify some documents. I didn't have to think about it. I'll get back to you. I immediately said, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. Well, what difference does it make to you? I said, well, if it doesn't make any difference, then you do it. No, we need your name on it. I wouldn't do it. Now, when faced with that decision, of course I want the money. Of course I want retirement, especially now. But no, you can't. My boss won't let me do that.
But let's talk about what makes a bad county employee. Does
Now, wait a minute. Wait a second.
Okay. All right. We can't talk about that?
No. We both work with Bad County. So are we Bad County employees? Sorry.
Yes. Well, if I ever got paid anything, then I'd be a Bad County
It's
employee.
the opposite.
But until then, I'm just a donor. No, you know what? Here's the problem: is that public employees at all don't have to conform to the same standard that a private employee does. Generally speaking, they just don't, because there isn't the same level of accountability that takes place. So if you have a good county employee, it just is because they are driven, holding themselves to a particular standard. You know, not only that, you can also have somebody who's involved in this this massive bureaucracy and shuffling papers around, which ultimately ends up hindering other people's lives and making it more difficult for people to do business and things like that. But they do perfectly fine at their job. They're fulfilling the requirement. But that fits my definition of a bad county employee. Is somebody who is fulfilling this particular bureaucratic need that is ultimately harmful to people.
What happened to Arthur O'Hare? I liked this guy. He was working under Rosemary Paget, but you could always go to Arthur O'Hare in the finance office for the county, and you ask him a question, and he would do what he could to find the answer. I mean, and then just recently I got up and I said, well, I asked this question at this meeting of the elected officials compensation committee, and they kind of, did this to me and did that to me and tried to make me shut up. Not they did. Some guy that wasn't even on their committee was trying to shut me up. And then Arthur O'Hare comes in. So I made my point. He comes in and he says, well, there's no questions allowed at such a meeting. Well, I look like an idiot because he said this in public, and he has a microphone right in front of him. That's the power. He has this microphone. Well, that's Mr. Matthews. He tried to ask a question. We're not allowed to ask a question. So therefore, and I could even see some of the 5 out of 6 of the budget people are pro-levy people. And they were like, well, yeah, that's, what the heck does he think he is asking a question? The problem is Arthur O'Hare, that was not true. They've always allowed questions at these committee meetings. I've been going to them for more than 5 years now, I think, and and it's on the agenda. And I did ask my question, and I did get an answer once. J.J. Schofield would just shut up. It wasn't his. I'm not going to allow you to ask that question. Hey, it's not up to you, buddy. It's up to the chair. Okay, so
but
Arthur O'Hare lied. He gave false public testimony that made me look like an idiot.
Yeah. Okay. So the question you asked was, what happened to Arthur O'Hare? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, his journey to the dark side was complete, and so the emperor retired, and now he's the emperor. And that's really cheeky. People who aren't Star Wars geeks are not going to get any of that. And I'm sorry about that.
He seemed like a really good guy. And now he's lied in public. This was a budget committee meeting that was live. He has a microphone. It's recorded, not only by the county, but by us. And he gave false public testimony. And he's the finance director.
Yeah.
Just to try to make some citizen look bad. If you don't know, shut up. And if you're sure, then go ahead and say it. We do. But we're not going to give false testimony. He did. He's a confirmed liar.
Okay, yes, but you know what? This is what happens to people like Cheryl Walker and Arthur O'Hare. Is that after a while, the ends justify the means, and so if you have to do this to accomplish your goal, then that's what you do.
Do you think I'm going to get an apology out of this character?
No, of course not. This is what I mean. We had a conversation before the show. I know I'm not supposed to admit that, but it was true.
I just don't want you to think we're talking about you behind your
back. I'm not sure whether I made this point before the show or not, but you're never, ever going to get one of these people to admit that you're right about something. So to give up on that. Thank you very much.
As Mark Gowen said, you're supposed to respect authority. I'm going to keep saying this. We are the authority. In America, the government is supposed to be our servant. Now, I know it hasn't worked out that way so far, or lately, but we need to remember that, because when we go and this guy is smirking about Cheryl Walker and him breaking the law. I know we're breaking the law and I don't care. That's what he said. And he didn't just say it once, he said it 3 times and he was shouting it. Okay.
Right.
When that happens, we shouldn't say, well, you know, they're the authorities. No, they're not. We're the authorities and they're the public servants. They've just gone wrong.
You know what? Here's the problem with that is that whole Romans 13 thing. I just reject that whole thing.
You're rejecting
you know,
God,
yes, you know, I'm going to be struck by lightning here or something like that. But I don't buy into that. And as soon as you start saying that, that has been used as a rationale to submit to tyranny in our past, where millions / tens of millions / hundreds of millions have been murdered.
That's right.
And so I just, yes, and / so that one there, I'm just gonna, you know, I'm gonna take the risk of violating that rule. Thank you. I just will.
Well, I'm an American, so unless the founding fathers were Satanists, I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have, because it's Saturday, and you can see I've got a piggy bank with headphones on over my shoulder. Not this one. That's not the piggy. This is the piggy. And we're going to...
Yeah, and what exactly is the symbolism there? You know, radio advertising is like a pig wearing headphones.
No, every time we do these radio ads, I put up something in the middle of the headphones, and it's from a magazine called
okay,
Radio Advertising.
Radio Advertising. Yes.
And this one's about radio advertising on a budget, which we definitely are, because this one's coming out of my pocket. And now, as we've mentioned to you many times in the past, we're not selling anything. We're just trying to tell people the news, and partly because we don't have any newspaper in this town. So you're going to see the stories that have been out there that we've been working on. And I make it clear to the radio listeners on KMED from 6 to 9 every morning, Monday through Friday, what they can find at badcounty.com, which is completely non-commercial, blah, blah. Okay, so here is the first ad. I say slowly, so Mike will have it ready. Go ahead there, Mike.
Yes.
This is Dale Matthews, editor of badcounty.com. Sunday service at River Valley Church included a video about the life of Jesus? No, about how you will vote for the levy. Badcounty.com. News without filtering.
Okay.
Oh, you know, Dale said I was going to agree with every one of these ads before we did them because I haven't heard these yet. I totally disagree with that one.
Oh, come on now.
Yes.
So what do you think about that? They went into church. They probably thought they were going to get a sermon about the life of Jesus. Oh, we're going to play a video for you today. Woohoo! What's it going to be about? Well, it's going to be all about the levy.
You know what? I think that it's actually pretty morally despicable to play out something like that and not tell people that this is a political event before the beginning of the sermon. I'm sorry. That's pretty low. That's pretty low. These people, once again, this is by any means necessary. So you sandbag these people and you go, you know, and listen, the more, and I've watched this thing a few times, the whole sermons, and every single element of this, every single one of them is priming you for the ad at the end. And they are, despite what people are saying, they are saying if you're not for the levy, you're a Satan worshiper. They don't say it in those words, but hello, can we not read a book and extrapolate the meaning from it? You know, when you're watching this video, every single point there, they are telling you you're immoral. At the end, when they're telling you that there's people coming up, hey, we want you to come up and talk to these people because we believe this is a spiritual issue. They're telling you that if you're against it, there's something wrong with you spiritually. You know, there's all these little things they're telling you throughout the whole thing. It's to lead you, pushing you in a particular direction. I think it is. I personally wouldn't be going to this church, but listen, everybody's got their own thing. But the more I see from this, the more I see, wow, you would waste the time of your congregants to, I mean, this was an infomercial.
Well, for those who say, well, I don't know if I can connect the dots, as Simon Harris said the other day, all the way up to the video, they say you've got to respect authority. You're basically going to hell if you don't respect authority. Respect authority, respect authority. And now here's some authority.
Really? Yes. Yeah. No, it was really bad. And I'm tempted to put a video together that takes all of those little elements and just rapid fires them at you.
Oh, but then you know what you'd be accused of by this guy? That's highly edited, Michael.
It would be highly edited, but it gives you the flavor of the thing. But listen, don't take my word for it. Go to their website or go to River Valley's YouTube page or go to badcounty.com and watch the clips that we have. But if you want the full thing, go to River Valley's webpage or their YouTube page and watch the whole video. Watch the whole thing.
Here it is.
Don't take my word for it.
It's right here. Here's Pastor Goins telling you you must respect authority, and bad mouthing the founding fathers, and here are the authorities discussing how important it is to do this. And what we don't have is videotape of Pastor Goins, who is a member of Cuffs, joined by Julie Thomas, the hate and discontent lady, and Jim Brumbach, who's on the county's, he's a city councilor and he's on the county's budget committee.
Well, it's a very interesting thing here that in SOS, in Cuffs, on Facebook now, the most strident pushers of the levy are all county employees or their close affiliates of county employees. Their familial relationships and things like that. And then, of course, you have some, there are a few, but the core of those, they're all interconnected. There's all this, some might call the good old boy network.
I think there's becoming increasingly they're becoming increasingly desperate. I mean, we see that they're stealing signs. Come on. They're jumping out of the car to grab up the sign and throw it in the back and take off with it. You cannot compete in the marketplace of ideas. You have to shout people down. The guy's invited to come and make a presentation, and they're trying to shout, and a couple of people are trying to shout him down rather than let him complete a sentence. This just happened to us the other day. It happened to me. Some guy's trying to stop me from speaking. Hey, why, JJ Schofield? I've got to stop you. I've got to stop you. Hey, JJ, shut up. You're not even on this committee. What do you mean you've got to try to stop me? Who gives you the authority? Well, I'm a county employee. Hey, shut up.
Yeah.
I can't give you 3 minutes because you'll take over the meeting in 3 minutes. What?
Yeah. What's wrong with you, Dale? You're just a Satanist. That's your problem.
All right. And, go ahead. Play the next dang ad. I don't want to be a Satanist. Not today.
This is Dale Matthews, editor of badcounty.com. At the Monday meeting of the Illinois Valley Airport, Cheryl Walker tried to explain how the board made a decision without, actually making a decision. Her explanation was laughed at. Badcounty.com, news without filtering.
So, filter. Mike, what do you think about that, bud?
I feel like I just smoked some Camel non-filters.
Yeah, well, I could have said, but I've said it in the past, news, let's see, news that hasn't been sanitized for your protection. I love that one. But I don't want to say that every time. It hasn't been filtered. Have you seen that story in the Courier? Have you seen the story about what Cheryl Walker did? You haven't seen that in the Courier? That's not going to be in the Courier. You're not going to get news. You'll get press releases from them.
What's going to be interesting coming up is the aftermath of this, because I'm assuming, because we talked about this, that the decision that they didn't really come up with, but kind of came up with, was whether or not to send a letter of default to Manor Development. Is that right?
That's correct, sir.
So I don't know if did Wally draft a letter to them, and have they now been informed that they're in default, and what's going to be the fallout of that one?
It was put together, it was sent out, and Manor Development said, could we please have even more time? We're going to need at least another 30 days. They gave them 30 days. Oh, we need another 30 days. So January, no payments. February, no payment. Remember, they were fully vetted by Larry Graves. March,
Yes.
no payment. April, no payment. Now, May, there will be no payment. They need to the end of June. That equals 6 months, I think. And you think you could go 6 months without paying your rent?
Well, here's what I used to do. Because I was a residential landlord for many years, and people sometimes would get behind, and it rarely ended well. But there are some cases where somebody would come up to me, and they're already 2 or 3 months into me here, and they're coming up to me and they pay me a month's rent, and then they go, well, that was for this month. I go, no, it wasn't. I'm applying that to the furthest month back, and that gets you a month closer, because as soon as they get this precedent that you just applied it to the current month, they've got you, and you can't, but of course the rules are different in this particular case. You're not talking about residential rental, but the bottom line is that this is already bad. People don't come back from being 6 months behind. That's a lot of money. As I recall, this was somewhere on the order of, 5-10 grand a month.
It was a lot of money. And they've now said, we also want to renegotiate the contract. That puts them in a power to make the rent less.
Oh, yes. Right. Yes. You know what? You're a fraud. You're a fraud.
But they've been fully vetted. They've been fully vetted.
Yeah,
and what's the most important
you're a fraud
of being fully vetted?
Yes.
The biggest contributors to Simon Hare's re-election campaign.
Yes. And you know who's just as big a fraud here as anybody else? Larry Graves. Because Larry Graves vetted him, and you didn't do a very good job. You didn't vet him at all.
Oh, you can see me trying to ask him a question about that. Oh, man.
Well, you know what? Guys, clearly a loser. This is just some BS thing. You didn't vet these people. Clearly you didn't vet them. I mean, that's just stupid. So,
when do you know that you're getting close to the heart of something? When you ask somebody a simple question and they try to give you some kind of long BS about some other kind of thing. Cheryl does that all the time. And no, that's not the question I'm asking you. Well, it's already been asked and answered. No, it hasn't been. You haven't even attempted to ask it. So, okay. Play the next ad, please. Okay.
Well, here, hang on a second. Before we get off of this, I can tell you. Here's what's coming next. Well, there was nobody else lined up to rent from us there anyway, so this is really no big deal.
He has already said again and again. Okay, this is the question I asked of the commissioners in the meeting that followed this, because there was a meeting out in CJ. Why is it that Larry Graves and you commissioners keep telling everybody that this hasn't cost us a single penny? Well, Ray, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, partly because Larry Graves came and he got more money for his people based on all the work they'd be doing related to. And so what have they been doing? Why do you keep telling us it's costing us nothing? It's the same thing as Keith Heck saying, I was not involved at all, and the commissioners were not involved in the starting of this levy. Yes, you were, and we have it on tape. It's part of the public record. Stop lying to us.
And so what we need to do is, when this thing goes south, because listen, people, here's what's going on here. I'm more convinced of it every day. This is what's called a lease option. And that is where you come down and you go, okay, I'm going to pay you a certain amount of money, and I have exclusive rights to this particular real estate.
The airport?
And then, yes, and that is what's going on here. So then ultimately they find somebody else to flip that to for a profit. And then they walk away with some money in their pocket. That's what's happening here.
What's called the name of his whole series at the church?
Yes, right. Yeah.
We're going to flip this county?
Flip this county. They're going to flip the whole county. Look out. No,
they have a lease with an option to buy?
Yes. So the bottom line here is this thing was a real estate scam from the word one. And really, it's not a scam. You know, if you're smart enough and you set this up and your timing is right and you get somebody and you can flip them right in there and do the deal right like that, then you're the hero. But if you can't pull that off in 6 months, you're a zero. And guess what? You're a zero.
Oh, I just hate it when Mike just tries to hide his feelings.
Well, you know what? We're being bamboozled here. So anyway,
we're going to help you fight that.
Yes. Next.
Okay,
Dad.
play the next one. Thank you.
This is Dale Matthews, editor of BadCounty.com. At Monday night's joint city-county meeting in Cave Junction, Keith Heck tried to explain how the board will make minutes available, even though no one bothered to take any notes. They know that's illegal. BadCounty.com. News without filtering.
Well, so Mike, tell us, why is a historical record of what they've said and done important to anybody besides me?
Because I mean, it's a record of what they did on our behalf. That's why we have minutes, you know, for accountability.
Right? I know for sure, because I've seen it with my own eyes, because I've been in the meetings, you know. Yeah, for you.
Yes, he's a martyr for you.
For our audience. And
yes.
They have actually changed the official minutes because they said something that was embarrassing, and they don't want that in the permanent record. But that's what you said.
Yes. You know, they could. There's another way to fix that problem.
Get them out of there.
Don't do it in the first place. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
right. Yeah. Yes.
Well, good luck with that, because they're just going to do that. Look, you guys are so tough on government. You know, Tony Webb says, well, no, Dale, you've been too hard on Cheryl Walker. Too hard on Cheryl Walker. This helps define who Tony Webb is, I'll tell you, buddy. But look, here's the thing. Just don't forget that Tony Webb thinks we're being too tough on Cheryl Walker. Hello, Tony. How's it going? So look, here's
hang on a second. In defense of Tony Webb, she came in. Did you see the comment that she put on this
social
video?
Media?
The last video that we put up about Cheryl.
No, what did she say?
It was not flattering.
Well, but now she's saying both. Come on, Tony. Okay, well, look. It's not true that all government is bad, but when you keep turning over the people that are serving in office, there's a reason they keep turning over. There was a reason Dave told her we could not stomach another 4 years of this guy. There was a reason that Simon Hare won, because he was running against Mark Gatlin. Okay, I didn't vote for either one, but if I had to, I would have voted for Simon. I would have voted for Simon over Mark Gatlin. That's even worse, and we can give you lots of reasons why another day. So look. Eventually, though, when you pull that lever, you've heard me say this before, you're going to end up with clunk, 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 3 lemons. That's all that's happened now. This will be over soon. We have another year to wait. We'll be around long after they're, well, I don't know, dead and gone, but long after they're gone. And so let's hope that we get people in there. Just one basic thing. You don't have to be the most knowledgeable person in the world. You don't have to be a PhD in government. You don't need to be going to every meeting like I do. You don't need to know everything that's happening all the time and hit the ground running like I do. You don't need all that. What you need is, yes, you do. Yes, you do. What you need is someone who's basically honest. I'll take that every day of the week.
Right.
Okay, speaking of basically honest, play the next ad.
This is Dale Matthews, editor of BadCounty.com. On Tuesday, Keith Heck was tired of explaining that the commissioners had nothing to do with the initiation of the levy. It's just a matter of public record. And we posted the video of Keith Heck doing exactly that. BadCounty.com. News without filtering.
I'm sensing a theme here about filters. It reminds me, you know, the ice maker filter on my refrigerator needs to be changed.
Now that's the most important issue here. But now another thing that could have been said at the tagline of each one of these is, why aren't you reading this in the Courier?
Yes.
You know that video.
I've heard someone say that before.
You know,
I'm
that
not
video
quite sure
where Keith Heck this summer kicked off the levy, initiated the levy. Keith Heck did. Okay, in a room, meeting in the little back room. We posted it a couple of times. You can see it for yourself. You can check out his language. Okay, he doesn't say devil worshiper or even Satan worshipers, but he does. He did kick off the levy. That I've shared that video with the reporters, with a couple of reporters and the editor at the Daily Courier, the Not So Daily Courier. You think that they would write anything about that, because they keep writing that it was citizen initiated. That's even in their stories. It's not in their editorials. It's in their stories.
But see, here's the reason why they don't get that. It's the same reason why they say that Mark Goins never said, if you don't vote for the levy, you're a Satan worshiper. Is because you have to put a couple of the elements together and go, okay, here's a logic chain. And perhaps they're not able to, or just lack the desire to do that in this particular case.
It's one person that's holding us back from knowing what the news is in Josephine County politics. One person with a boss, and the boss is Kevin Whittison, and the one person is Jim Moore. I call over to their newsroom, and sometimes I'll get a variety of different reporters. And at some point or another, I'm not testing them, but I'll say well, it's about the something story. What? And they don't know. Apparently, based on this non-scientific survey, they pay me $25,000 to do this survey, and then I'm helping them pass the levy. No, that's another non-scientific survey. Based on that, apparently Jim Moore's not even talking to the people in his own dang office. They don't know what the news is. And they were surprised. I talked with some guy the other day, Sunday, what happened on Sunday? They don't know. Okay, this thing about Keith Heck initiating the levy, they don't know this. His own co-workers don't know. Jim's not telling them. Jim's not going to print it. The news is being blocked from you.
Yes. You know what? It's funny because, you hear this all the time. Somebody will say, well, less is more. But in this particular case, more is less.
Yes. Play the next ad, would you?
This is Dale Matthews, editor of badcounty.com. At Wednesday's weekly business session, the Board of County Commissioners finally took a stand about the Sugar Pine Mine. Cheryl Walker explained that economic development doesn't really mean very much because it's not going directly into the county's bank account. Badcounty.com. News without filtering.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, one of my favorites.
Cutting you off from the news, and we play the whole clip, and so you can see for yourself, exactly what happened. I remember when Keith Heck was upset. Well, you took it out of context. That was all that he said. I mean, that was the entire context. There wasn't any more context.
Well, in this particular case, I think that what a telling statement by Cheryl Walker about the miners, and how she basically doesn't give a flying about the miners, because they're not directly bringing money and dumping it into the county coffers.
She actually said they could make a gift to the county of money. Well, like Manor Development did to Simon Harris' campaign. You're going to get some kind of justice. In fact, more than justice. In fact, you'll get injustice if you just donate a bunch of money to one of these commissioners.
Yes, and you know what? I think one of the biggest things, and we can watchdog during this next campaign, the people who run for office, if somehow it ticks you off that somebody is making money in this town and the county isn't getting a part of it, you're disqualified. You're disqualified. That is just low. You should be happy that somebody had a good idea and is putting it to use and making some money in this county. You should be happy about that. And you shouldn't, withhold your advocacy for their rights on the basis that they're not paying you enough money.
Now, all of those who are tired of hearing me extol the virtues of Sandy Casanelli, hold up your hand. Okay, but when she ran, she told people, and she did this, if you give me money, and if I win, I'll give you your money back. Okay.
And she did. That was funny.
And she did. And one guy was really royally upset. He said, you know, I almost use another word, royally something. He said, well, I expect to get, I'm getting something. No, I'm giving you the money back. He was so upset. Now, wait a minute.
Yes.
I think that shows a lot of integrity. Do you think that Simon Hare gave the money back to these guys? Do you think that this guy did? Do you think that Cheryl did?
No way. No way. No way. And these are the things that people didn't know about Sandy. And some of the people who sadly bought into the smear campaign that was launched against her don't know this kind of stuff about her. No,
Tony Webb was one of those people. She helped gather signatures to get rid of Sandy Casanelli.
Did Tony do something to you in the past couple of days there, or what's going on?
No, but she's on both sides of these issues. She's going to probably run for office, and she's trying to show that she's everybody's pal. Well, okay, I'm glad she's everybody's pal, but everybody's pal?
No, the campaign is ramping up right now.
Oh,
so anyway,
sure
yeah, that should be a disqualifier. If your big criteria is how much money somebody is forking over to the county, then probably you really hate most of the people in the county, because most of the people aren't doing that outside of their property taxes.
This is not the first time that she said this. And one thing I find personally, now I don't know about everybody else. One thing, oh yes, I do. No, I don't. Shut up. Okay. One thing I think is encouraging. Yeah, I'm having a whole conversation with myself. Next, sock puppets. But one of the things I think is encouraging is that people from opposite sides of things are finding something in common, because the people that they're opposing are these smirking commissioners who just this roll of the dice happened to all three of them been lying to us. And what I found was Cheryl Walker said this to the marijuana people. Well, just because you're going to be making a bunch of money, or already are, doesn't mean that we should think anything good about that, because that's not coming directly into the county.
Yes.
Now, minors.
You know what?
Minors have something in common with marijuana people.
Yes, and this whole thing stinks if you didn't build that. You know, it's that kind of thinking. It's Listen, boy, you know what? I mean, we really need to do a solid vetting, and you know what? Thankfully, we're going to be here to be able to take these people apart piece by piece and have a pretty solid analysis on every one of them before it's time to vote.
Oh yeah, buddy, because we put out the voters pamphlet 30 days before anybody else does. We always find room for that. Well, the Courier doesn't have enough pages. We do, not just on our show, but we sometimes print these things. We did in the past when I was doing that monthly and then weekly newspaper, the one the Courier kept stealing. So we'll get that information out to you. And also, we're going to be there on election day. There's a special little room where they let only qualified journalists go. And the only person that ever goes in that little room is Jim Moore from the Courier. I don't want to even step foot in there. You're not allowed in there, says the county clerk. The county clerk is the one that said that people who question government, at least this current group of people who are questioning government, are morons. He'll be counting his own votes in 2016. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Play the last ad, please, Mike.
This is Dale Matthews, editor of BadCounty.com. At the first budget meeting on Thursday, Lisa Shipley played a long video all about herself. She was the county worker who told desperate veterans that they had to vote for the levy or their local benefits might be in danger. BadCounty.com. News without filtering.
Mike, what do you have to say about
those county workers tooting their own horns?
In this video, her name, Lisa, and then there's several times where they say her or she, So they're not mentioning her by name, and you'll just have to, Simon, you'll just have to connect the dots. I don't understand. Who are they talking about? I don't know, Simon. She's mentioned every 30 seconds by name. Now imagine you go to a budget committee meeting. You're sitting up there in front. Ta-da! I'm for the levy. Well, 5 out of 6 are for the levy, and members of the Rotary Club. Okay, it's a prerequisite, and so you're sitting up there, and somebody comes in to talk to you about their budget. Cool. Let's see about the budget. Well, but I'm going to play a video, and it's Lisa Shipley, Lisa. Why am I watching this? And the best of all, just like the sheriff's video, it's got music in the background. America, America, at a budget committee meeting. Mike knows why she made that video, because it's an older video. Why did she make that video? Mike, we're gonna play that video for you at some point here. Do you remember?
Yeah, you're asking. Oh, hey, by the way, I went and looked for Lisa Shipley's video online, and I couldn't find it anywhere, because when I put in Lisa Shipley, all it came up was a bunch of badcounty.com videos.
Oh man!
Wow.
Oh, okay.
You know what? These poor people. When they go out there and do stupid things.
These people have risked their lives for our country.
Yes.
And many of them are saying, well, she's just wonderful, because they're getting their money through her. But she was lying to them. She went to retirement homes and told those poor old darlings that if they didn't vote for the levy, that they might shut down her office, and that maybe their benefits would be in danger. She should have been fired that same day that she said it in front of our cameras. She was making a glowing report to the commissioners. They didn't give her a raise right away. In fact, it got real quiet for a while when we put out a video about it. They gave her a raise recently that was retroactive to then. She got her reward on this earth.
Oh boy,
there's something else waiting for her, buddy, because these are the most vulnerable of our citizens. They're the ones that we owe the most. We owe our very freedom to them. And Lisa Shipley gets up, and she made this video right afterwards, with people sitting out in front of her office saying, if it wasn't for Lisa, why, nothing good would be happening in this life. Really?
Yes. Yeah.
And this is what she decided to show to the budget committee.
Yeah, that's a little puzzling to me. I don't quite understand what's the rationale. Why would you do that? Could it be that you're shopping for a little bigger budget this year?
Well, she doesn't like to. She was, until she made that announcement and we put out the video, she was there with the commissioners, I think, once a month. Long reports. I mean, it was like, oh, when is this going to be? It's like, I sit there for a long time. It would be like a 12-minute, 15-minute report. Breathless. I mean, literally breathless. And then what happened? Okay, then after that, she cut back to once a quarter right after that video, and then maybe once a year we're going to see her. So this was a chance for her to come out in public, and she's going to show, that was live. She's going to show this, oh, Lisa, Marsha. I'm tired of hearing Marsha. Some people won't know what that reference was to, but those of you who do, you can tell the younger folks.
I would think that most of this audience would understand that reference. I hope so. Well, or actually, I would hope we're getting some younger viewers by now.
Why the heck is it? Why would even the finance director come in front of the budget committee and play a video where he's said, well, that Arthur O'Hare, Arthur with music playing in the background and wrapping himself in the flag?
Yeah,
really?
It shows there's some ambition there.
No,
Clearly.
It shows there's some worry that maybe this person will have to answer for what they've done. Maybe not today, but eventually, when it's all over, you will have to answer for this. These commissioners will give you a raise. They'll pat you on the back. They'll say she's the most wonderful whatever that's ever been seen. And then at some point, you're going to have to face another kind of judgment. And I just hope that the members of the jury are all veterans.